I will say good morning to Kerri-Anne. And as I said before, we're on Women of Light Facebook group. And this is Wednesday Wisdom. So good morning, Kerri-Anne.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, it's one of my favorite topics, so I'm not surprised at the interaction already.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit, like, why is it your favorite topic? What drew you to doing this sort of thing? Obviously, you do sort of energy work, or you do something that's, we're talking about money vibration, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, definitely. Being a transformational energy healer, I've worked in the quantum healing space for quite some time, but I was very specifically drawn to this work about 10 years ago. And thank you so much for having me here, by the way.
Totally.
I love it. It's nice and early in the morning, and I was like jumped out of bed going, oh, this is juicy. It's one of my favorite topics.
Awesome. That's lovely.
Being in the spiritual world and the spiritual realms and working with so many people in this area, I really have noticed over the years how we love to give, and yet our money vibration goes down. And we don't, well, I say we, I've noticed with many of my clients, but as well as, friends, family, anyone that I've spoken to over the years, that they really feel like, they have a lot of limiting beliefs around money, but also feel like it's just not important. And 10 years ago, specifically, this is where I really dove deep into this within, like I call it spiritual money love. And I've got a whole program around that, but that's another topic altogether. But 10 years ago, I found myself in almost $500,000 debt. So $465,000 debt.
Whoa.
Which yeah, right.
Yeah.
As a 30-year-old. And so it's a little bit more than 10 years ago now. And that just and I had to go in and figure out what got me here. And I reverse engineered and realized that, okay, if I'm that powerful, if I've got that much energy inside of me, how can I manifest what I really want? And abundance is our birthright, and so I went on this journey. I went on this journey of figuring it all out, and so that's really, and that was from business, that was from a whole lot of different things coming in, and I really feel like that was the catalyst moment to opening up new levels of abundance, working through how I even got there in the first place, what can we do about this, and onwards and upwards.
Yeah. So that's like, when you think of it, saying, how did I get here? The fact that you could get into that much debt means that you can make that much money too, right? Like, it shows that.
Exactly.
The balance there. So tell us some of the things that, came about from that, or what were your experience? I've actually had my own vibrational money experience years ago as a single mum, so like this all relates to me as well. Mine was not that much money, however, it was like a vibrational shift that I made that made the difference. So yeah, I'd love
and
to.
That's what it is, so it's not just about so this vibrational shift is exactly right, and for me it's not just about, okay, let's raise our vibration. When we talk about energy and we talk about vibration and frequency, and so often everyone's like, oh, okay, let's just raise our vibration and call in the money. Raise our vibration, call in the money. It's like, that works, but it also doesn't work, so there's a few different things to look at there. So for me, the start was really getting super clear and acknowledgement of where I'm at. How did I get here? Sorry, I've got to hope those don't come through my notification.
No, they don't. No.
Yeah, perfect. Acknowledging, where am I at right now? That was huge for me. And because so often we just go, okay, looking forward. But, and as powerful manifestors, and a lot about what we've been taught about manifestation is, don't look at the negative side of things, right? Just stay positive and aim for the stars. Well, acknowledgement is the first element of being able to clear, right?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I often say, 80% of any sort of healing is the acknowledgement of, like something
It
that's
already
underlying,
starts
and
to disintegrate, right?
absolutely,
Yeah, beautiful. So acknowledging then so many different areas, acknowledging, okay, yeah, how did I get here is one thing, but we don't have to hang out and like, how did I get here? But I love that part because I love to reverse engineer it. So long as we're doing it from, from an empowering position, and not a victim kind of mode. Oh my God, why did this happen to me? It's like, oh, cool, I get to look at this.
yeah.
And, all of these things. So our money story, we all have a money story from our parents, from our grandparents, handed down to us genealogically, perhaps brought in from past lives. And we may not know about it, but if we just sit and acknowledge, okay, I've got a money story. What is mine? What are my limiting beliefs that I've carried through my life point up until now? We've all got limiting beliefs around money, and generally they're not great ones, beliefs, but generally they are limiting beliefs that we've brought through to this moment that we've had as a child. But we can acknowledge what they are now, and then when we acknowledge what they are, we can choose more powerful ways to either release those limiting beliefs, choose new ones. We get to do something about them, essentially, right?
Absolutely. And it's really interesting because money of all things is there's so much baggage around it, and especially in the spiritual realms, because
yes.
The alternatives and all of those, communities where we're talking about energy and vibration, and as soon as you talk about money, there's so many beliefs, and they're starting to shift, but these beliefs that you're bad if you have money, or that it's okay to give away all of our services, and if you're a healer you should be doing it for free.
Absolutely.
All of these societal doctrines that come in on top of what our own personal beliefs are, or as you were saying, the generational aspect of it as well. So
Absolutely.
money is just a measurement of value that you're giving out, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I just feel like, once you acknowledge where you're at, then you get to move forward, then you get to do something about it. And that's then from an empowering position. And there's so, then there's so much that you can do with that. And then I would say, the next most powerful thing to be able to do here is leave that with forgiveness. So once we acknowledge it, then forgive that, forgive yourself, forgive your money story, right? Forgive whatever you need to forgive. If it's for your parents because they've, yes, they've handed you perhaps not the most highest of vibration beliefs around money, but they've done, hopefully the best that they could because of the information and the knowledge that they had.
All that, right. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So we're so often to blame, but if we can just, then, tap into some deeper levels of forgiveness, forgiving our past dealings. Like, it took a lot to forgive $465,000 worth of debt. It took a lot to step into, okay, I'm sorry, I love you, the whole Ho'oponopono, which I did around this, but then we get to dissipate and disintegrate the past, and then we are again using what we have in front of us in the now. We've now acknowledged it. And it's a constant layer of forgiveness as well.
Absolutely.
And just acknowledging it's okay. It's okay to forgive. It's okay to let it go. But then otherwise we're too much in control. We're too much trying to hold on to this, and there's no space for us to energetically open up to new money stories, to new money vibrations.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many layers, because we're constantly, we live in duality, right? We live in this place where, as you were saying, there's past lives, there's multi-dimensional aspects to us. So, oh my gosh, how many different, layers there could be. And there's the present moment of, I remember when I was going through the process myself, which was like just a week of, looking at what was going on for me and raising my vibration, and what were those thoughts and all that sort of stuff. And standing behind someone in a shopping center, you know, in Woolworths or whatever, and it was when the you know, like it wasn't tapping or something with the card, and the guy said, is that check or savings? Oh no, credit or savings? And the guy said, oh, that's spendings, right? And you know, like all of that input that you start getting,
yes,
you know, and I'm like, cancel that, cancel that,
cancel that. Yes, and we think that that's okay, and we're making a joke about it, but there's underlying things that are going on there. You know, there's an underlying vibration that's not
and
going to serve you of your highest.
That, you know, he's reinforcing that in his
reinforcing
life,
it over and over,
reinforcing it in everyone around him. You know, like,
yeah. So you know,
we're all laughing. You know, like,
absolutely. So then we are, you know, those that are laughing are acknowledging exactly that what he's saying is truth, and you know, and then of course building up that from underneath, and you know, solidifying him in that truth. And that's where we want to do our inner work, and that's what it's all about, the inner work. But and you know, the most important thing to know is that money is an energy. You know, it's meant to flow. So I have this, you know, I used to be that person, and now I love saying it's a long time ago, and it's like, oh, that feels so good. But I love to acknowledge that I was that person and that I stepped out of that. But I used to have heart palpitations, sweating when I hand over my card.
Oh, I can
all
imagine.
the time, right?
Yeah.
And now, and I still do it. Like one of my favorite sayings is like, I'll hand my card over, and I'm like, and I'm talking to my money, and I'm building this and cultivating this beautiful relationship with money, which in the past, you know, our relationship with money is so important, but understanding that it is a relationship, and how are we speaking to our money? How are we thinking about our money? You know, would you do that with your partner? Right? Because they would be running a mile, I tell you, if they was doing that with the same as what I was doing with money.
Any sort of abuse, absolutely,
so much abuse, right? And it's psychological abuse, it's verbal abuse, and so I got into this practice of saying, like, be free money, like go out and fly, go out and flow, multiply, and come back to mama. Right?
I love it.
Right? And I would love it. And every time I'd hand it over, I'd see it as my babies, you know, going out and creating greatness around the world and multiplying, and then like, come home to mama.
Well, so good. Like, you know, like that's so true, right? Because, you know, the more we speak positivity, the more we speak, we're creating. So we're creating that to come back to us, you know, like, yeah,
exactly. And just, you know, being conscious of the vibration, being conscious of the energy that we're like infusing into that in the moment. It's really powerful. You know, I've got these vibrations here of, like that man was saying, you know, those vibrations are pretty low, and we're literally infusing that energy, that frequency into the money. And so I feel like it's a responsibility as well. It's a responsibility for us to clear our stuff, because when we clear, we're clearing, you know, multiple generations past and future. But in that moment, like what you send out then, even if it's in a card, right? You know, we're talking quantum here, that money is a vibration, that money is an energy that's going out into the world. So I like to take full radical responsibility for what I'm sending out into the world. And I'm not going to send out any frequencies within my money, be it in my thoughts, in my language, and physically within the card or cash. Because I say card now because we're all using card, but you know, it used to be in cash. I would literally talk to the note, you know, and send it out. So I feel like it's, and that would be the third most important point here. Take radical responsibility for all of it, and to raise that vibration, bring love to it, but take responsibility and commit yourself to raising your vibration, raising your frequency around sending money out and having it multiply and having it come home to mama or papa for the papas listening.
Because it's going to go on YouTube too. So right there's going to be men that are watching as well. And so it's so true, isn't it? It's you know, being able to create as you go along, being part of the process and manifesting, you know, in that way. It's, and watching the limiting beliefs that come up as you go along too, because my process was, you know, found myself as a single mum, you know, and all these bills came in, and I was massaging at the time and had no way of paying them because my computer had broken down. So I had to just look at, you know, like, what is it, you know, and raise my vibration and shift it. And within 5 days, got all of this stuff coming in, all this work through word of mouth. And so, but in that process, I was aware of how, you know, the unworthy, and, you know, can I do this? And, you know, you know, is it possible? And blah, 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 all of these things that came up that you've got to address. You can't just deny them. You've got to actually
absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's, that acknowledgement, you know, straight away, it's number one, acknowledging what is coming up for you, and laying it out on the table with no judgment, right? You don't have to judge that.
Absolutely.
Just, and be curious. Like, this is an energy of fun. It needs to be, you know, to play, to have fun, to, you know, to raise that vibration. We have to, you know, not sink into it. It's so easy to do. Oh my gosh, it's so easy to do, particularly around money. Like, how did I get here? You know, I how am I going to pay this bill? Da, da, da. If we get curious and we get fun, but that is so beautiful. You say, and I love that you're a massage therapist, because as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, massaging the, you know, the abundance and the limiting beliefs in a more powerful way. So taking out the limiting and just recreating new beliefs and massaging the new energy around it, right? Because we can soothe and massage old stuff, and that will keep manifesting and keep recycling. So I love that when you're saying that. I was like, oh yeah, you know, but bringing it, we have to bring it up.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was such a beautiful process. So you found and discovered all of these processes, or, you know, brought them to the forefront for yourself as you were going through that process of like,
look, definitely
how did that work for you? I don't, it sort of evolved as it went along, right?
100%, because my money story then went like this. So the awareness was great, but then, you know, stepping into a more empowering position when you're dead broke is, you know, and I'll tell you one thing, and this was also a catalyst for me, is that I was really told to go bankrupt. Like, back here, you know, I was in Australia, my love, and I'd only been back in Australia for 2 years, created this business, the business went bust. That's, you know, that's a beautiful story in and of itself, because I choose to see it as beautiful, right? But the one other catalyst for me was control, and letting go of control, and also letting go of control internally from me, and not having anyone else control me. And I'll tell you why this was important as a catalyst, because not just getting in that $465,000 worth of debt, I was really urged to, by professionals, you know, to claim bankruptcy. You're young, 7 years, it'll be fine, and there's a part of me, and so it, you know, my big thing is say yes to your soul. When you say yes to your soul, you'll have it all. Whatever your all is, whatever my all is different, but you'll have it all when you can tune in and listen to your soul. So this was one of the first moments I did that, and I went, this does not feel good, because they said one thing: you'll have to hand over your passport. And as a traveler, as this was my freedom, right? So it had nothing to do about money then, and it switched. I was like, I'm not handing over my passport, no. And I literally went on this journey. Like, I left the country after that, not to not pay my bills, but because I experienced this control that I knew that the restriction, exactly. So no, it was this big journey then of, yes, I learned so much in that moment, and the small, you know, the months following, but no, you know, all of my steps and raising my, this has all come together and definitely evolved over the years, and it's always evolving, it's still changing. As I, you know, step into higher versions, higher levels of myself, it's always evolving, and that's the beautiful part. It's the beautiful part about energy and frequency, and we get to, you know, we get to choose to continue to evolve.
To it. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Kerri-Anne, how do people get in contact with you? So obviously you do this as a workshop or something.
Yeah, I do. Look, I work very much with people in their money stories, with raising their frequency. As I said, I call it spiritual money love because it's a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
It's really part of your spiritual journey, and I love when the light bulb comes on, I should say, for people when they get that, they really get that. So I do at the moment. I'm working very much one-on-one with people in this area. And when and it's not just this area. When you work on one area, you're working across the board. But the easiest way to find me right now is on Facebook. Please, more than welcome to connect with me directly. It's Kerri-Anne O Healy on Facebook. Otherwise, you're most welcome to connect with me personally. You can always email me or find that also on Facebook. But I love for people to reach out personally.
Well, when we finish this, because for those that are watching on Facebook, we actually can't see you because we're doing this on Zoom. So we'll jump in afterwards. But if you want to put your details, if you've got any groups or anything that you can put in, just some sort of contact into the thread, then people can get in contact with you that way as well.
Absolutely.
So,
Awaken Abundant Living is my group. So Awaken Abundant Living. Yeah,
that's awesome.
You can find me there, but we'll definitely pop those details in the comments.
And if someone wants to get in contact with you, do you do a consult first that they can just get in contact?
Yeah, absolutely. I love to have a chat with people. So I can pop that in the link as well, so people can book themselves directly in for a free chat with me. Not a problem at all. Welcome.
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kerri-Anne.
Oh, Elizabeth, I love this chat. I love you, and thank you for bringing this, to your community. I just think it's fabulous.
Yeah, it's a fantastic topic, isn't it? Like if we can just find ourselves in that place of abundance with money as well, because it's so interesting how many people reject the whole money thing, and yet even by rejecting it, people, I know so many people that, like, oh, we don't need it, but they're spending so much time thinking about it because they don't have it.
Right.
We live in a society where this is the exchange that happens, right? And so, it's just the way it is. So you live in that abundance as well as the abundance of everything else, and it's just.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's our birthright. Yeah, it's our birthright to be abundant in all areas of life.
Yeah.
All areas. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Hun. You are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone watching and anyone watching the replay as well. And on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, because we do this Wednesday Wisdom every week, and there'll be more stuff going on as well. So take care, and we'll speak soon.